Joining me now, I'm super excited about this. Congressman Brandon Gill is one of my favorites. If you watch the show frequently, you know we like to dabble a little bit in snark and sarcasm. I think we've got a master here in our midst. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Jobob, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. So, okay, just broad strokes. There's other things that I'd like to talk to you about specifically, like booting criminal illegals out of the country, which is a very, very, very contentious topic that people can't decide how to make up their mind on. But broadly speaking, I think you've come to the forefront in so many different ways by the way that you handle yourself in committee and while you're grilling some of these folks in a very deadpan, but I think you're trying to be funny in a way that conservatives haven't done really ever. Explain that to me a little bit, or talk me through your kind of process as you're preparing for these committee meetings, because I think they are hilarious.
Sure, and I appreciate that. So I serve on the House DOGE Subcommittee, for instance. That's a subcommittee of the Oversight Committee. So we've had a variety of hearings on pretty hot button issues, from illegal immigration in sanctuary states and sanctuary cities, to funding NPR and PBS, to funding all kinds of other woke programs. You know, whenever you do these committee hearings, both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, get to ask questions to the witnesses who come before us. And the witnesses are under oath, right? They testify that they're not going to lie. If they lied, they perjured themselves. They can be held in contempt of Congress, potentially. So they have to tell the truth. One of the things that I found in these hearings is that the order that you do your questioning in is based on seniority. And I'm a freshman. I've only been in office for about 10 months now. So I realize I'm going to go at the very, very end. So I've got to come up with something that every other Republican hasn't also asked during the committee hearing.
You a racist?
With all due respect, sir, I'm here to talk about the essential work that nonprofits do.
Excuse me, that's a very simple question. Yes or no question. Are you a racist?
I'm not a racist.
You're not a racist. Particularly interesting because according to one of your affiliate charities, under your nonprofit umbrella, denial of racism constitutes covert white supremacy. Are you a covert white supremacist?
Sir, I'm here to talk about the essential work that nonprofits do.
Are you a covert white supremacist?
Can I talk about the work that nonprofits do?
No, I'm asking you if you're a covert white supremacist, which according to one of your own organizations, again, denial of racism constitutes covert white supremacy.
One of the things that I found is that we're questioning leftists typically, people who during the Biden administration and before have promoted some of the most wild and outrageous ideologies, things that most Americans vehemently disagree with and find repulsive. You know, boys should go in girls' sports, they should compete in girls, go to girls' locker rooms, things like that. And all you have to do is just ask them, you said this, do you believe this? You said that America is addicted to white supremacy. Do you really believe that? And I asked that to the CEO of NPR.
Do you believe that America is addicted to white supremacy?
I believe that I tweeted that, and as I've said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
It has evolved. Why did you tweet that?
I don't recall the exact context, sir, so I wouldn't be able to say.
Okay. Do you believe that America believes in black plunder and white democracy?
I don't believe that, sir.
You tweeted that in reference to a book you were reading at the time, apparently, The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
You tweeted about it. You said you took a day off to fully read The Case for Reparations. You put that on Twitter in January of 2020.
Apologies, I don't recall that I did.
Okay.
I no doubt that your tweet there is correct, but I don't recall that.
Okay. Do you believe that white people inherently feel superior to other races?
I do not.
You don't? You tweeted something to that effect. You said, I grew up feeling superior. Ha, how white of me. Why did you tweet that?
I think I was probably reflecting on what it was to grow up in an environment where I had lots of advantages.
It sounds like you're saying that white people feel superior.
She had tweeted that. She put it online for the whole world to see. And you just ask them, and I think the left is in a position right now where they know, they do in fact believe these things, but they know that they're so unpalatable for most Americans that they don't want to be straightforward about it. And this is a great opportunity to call them on it.
We ask consistently on this show, are they stupid or lying? That particular interview you did with, I think Catherine Maher is her name, the NPR CEO, who I thought it was great. Just reading the tweets out loud. What was your gauge? Is she either so dumb she's forgotten everything she's ever done up until that point, or is she just lying about it?
Well, I think that it's a little bit of both, but the way I would put it is that this is somebody who has lived in a left-wing bubble. She rises through the ranks of left-wing institutions, left-wing circles. She serves on left-wing boards. So everybody that she's around believes this stuff. And we asked her about, again, is America addicted to white supremacy? Do you believe in race-based reparations? I mean, we had a variety of tweets that she put out for the whole world to see. And, I think that she put these things out there because it was a form of virtue signaling. It was telling everybody that she worked for, that she worked with, that her political views were orthodox, that she was good to go. And I think in some instances, she just simply didn't remember. Whether she believed it or not, I don't know. I tend to think that she did. But she also, the politics have changed since 2022 and 2021. The American people have woken up to what wokeness means. And nobody's ever asked her about this stuff. So all you have to do is just ask her in a black and white way, do you really believe this? Because you did say that. You did put it on social media for everyone to see. And I think she does believe these things, but she knows she either forgets that she explicitly stated some of the things that she believes, or she knows that it's not politically a good idea to tell the world some of these crazy things.
That is such a good point. People existing in a bubble and they've never faced adversarial questioning. It reminds me of Katie Porter, the gal who's running for governor in California, saying, "I've never had to do this before." The reporter's like, "You've never had a contentious interview? This is odd." But really, I think to your point, they probably haven't ever been questioned on this, and now all of a sudden, holy cow! I am responsible for all the things that I've said. That feels a little absurd. We were chatting a little bit beforehand about kind of the line of questioning you take, and a lot of it's just so obvious that it's kind of, this is of course what we should say on this. One of those is expedited deportations of criminal illegals. You are a force behind that. Tell us about what you're trying to do regarding what I think is probably a pretty obvious no-brainer.
Yep. So I introduced a bill a couple weeks ago that would force the expedited removal of criminal illegal aliens. And remember, we have expedited removal right now, but it only happens within about 100 miles from the border, meaning if Border Patrol or ICE apprehends somebody within that territory, they can do what's called expedited removal. They basically take them and they deport them pretty quickly. There's a process involved. They're given a notice of intent for a removal order. They can then challenge that. So there is due process there, but it's a much faster process than, for instance, giving an illegal alien a court date that could be 5, 6, 7, 8 years in advance, where they're living in the United States and doing whatever they're doing, whether that's running drugs or working with criminal gangs. So I introduced this bill to allow for expedited removal for illegal aliens who are involved in criminal drug gangs and are involved in terrorist activities in the interior, so that we don't have to wait for years to remove these people. I think that is basic common sense. I think that's something most Americans would absolutely agree with, no matter what you think about immigration or border security or what deportation should look like. Nobody wants criminal, terrorist, or gang member illegal aliens in their communities.
That's again, I think you're on 90% of the American side on that. Why that's not already a thing and even has to have a bill be introduced is beyond me, but glad you're on fighting that front where it is. You tweeted a couple things about the No Kings protest, which, by the way, it worked again. The No Kings protest, it was successful for a second time. They've decided to try to recreate that one-trick pony, and they found themselves in the middle of the longest current No King protest in the United States of America. But you also tweeted something about all of these sponsors of these quote unquote No Kings protests, which really is just a I Hate America I'm an overweight, blue-haired sociology major, and I need something to do on a Saturday. Can you kind of tell us about that? And what are your kind of thoughts overall, broadly, of like who the heck is funding these things? What should be done about it? How do we stop it going forward?
Yeah, so the No Kings protest, otherwise known as you said, the I Hate America protest, is this left-wing political movement. And really, the only goal of it is just to show that there's an opposition to President Trump. Remember, look at all of the great things the president has done since being in office. He secured the border almost immediately. He's been deporting criminal illegal aliens. He's getting peace deals around the world. We got in Congress, we got the biggest tax cut extension in American history passed, the biggest welfare reform in American history passed. And what do Democrats have to show? They've got nothing to show. They've accomplished nothing over the past 10 months or so. So what they're doing is rallying in cities across the country to show opposition to all the great things that the president is doing. But one of the interesting things about these rallies is who is paying for it and who's sponsoring it. And one of the things that we saw that was advertised for one of the No Kings rallies in New York was that it was literally sponsored by the Communist Party of the United States. That's not a talking point. That's not me trying to be provocative. That is on their flyer, that it is sponsored by the communists. But whenever you trace the money, and this is something that is coming out more and more every day, it seems, you're finding that these rallies have been funded by Soros, by George Soros and his network of nonprofits, which is absolutely illegal for nonprofits to engage in political activity like this. But there are deep pockets funding these No Kings, I Hate America protests. And I think that's something we've got to dig in a lot deeper on.
I love the bluntness of it. It's on their flyer. These are the people who are paying for this thing. They literally are the presenting sponsor. Congressman, first of all, we kind of are sarcastic and snarky on the show, which again I mentioned at the beginning, and I appreciate that. Do you think you have a career in stand-up comedy at any point? Would you ever like to try? And you don't have to answer that. I'm just saying, if you do, go ahead and let us know, and we'll bring you on the road to give it a whirl.
Well, I'd love to hear what Catherine Marr thinks about that, because I didn't think she thought that was too funny. She's in a position where she's gone so far to the left, and most people disagree with her, and they find all of these views crazy. This was a hearing where we were talking about defunding NPR and PBS. They've historically received about $535 million of our tax dollars every single year. So this was a high stakes hearing for her. She clearly prepared for it. She had an army of lawyers sitting right behind her during that entire hearing, and yet didn't have the thought to go back and refresh on some of the crazy things that she said. So they make it too easy for us, but it's important that we call out the left for what they put the American people through over the past several years.
Well, so on the stand-up comedy front, I'll take that as a maybe. Congressman Brandon Gill, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you.